Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Locker Room Podcast. Daryl and Teal, I've been going all month. It's my birth month. I just turned 66. Oh yeah, I'm a youngin' to you, Michelle. I know. But Silver, I've known you forever, and Michelle, I've known you forever. But it is Women in History Month. Before we even get started, I want both of you guys to know that quietly I look up to both of you guys. I really do. I from a distance, I watch what you guys are doing. Michelle, I've been watching you for years. You know, your story come out. Silver, I've been knowing you since 1977. BCU.
Yes, indeed.
And
yes.
To see where we are now as, you know, midlife people, I think we all are doing a very good job. So tonight we're going to talk about women in history. But since you're in the locker room, we're going to talk a little bit of sports too. So I want to introduce my guest at the top right corner. I got Dr. Michelle Carter. Michelle, introduce yourself. Talk to the people a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Carter. And I guess I have to add this piece. I'm the mother of Vince Carter. Retired business educator, author, running behind my son, make sure everything is straight with him. That's
all of family.
That's the biggest part of my job. We have a family foundation, the Embassy of Hope Foundation. I'm the executive director of that. I'm the CEO of his for-profit company, Visions in Flight. So I wear a lot of hats.
And you've already made your mark in history as a woman.
Yes, indeed.
Underneath there is my roadie. I've known this young lady. Let me tell you, back in the day, we was at Cookman. Everybody was family.
Yes.
You know, we were all family. And I got Miss Silver Grissett. Silver, talk to the folk a little bit.
Hey, Nat, you're right. We are all family. I am Sybil Grissett, and as Nat said, we have known each other for decades. I am glad to be here. Thank you for the invite. I am a retired federal employee. I worked as a financial analyst. I worked as an auditor. I worked as a community development specialist and as a senior account executive. So now I'm on the financial literacy campaign.
And if somebody called me Nat, that means they know me from 1970s. They call me Nat.
Yes.
Because I was Nat the cat back in the days.
Correct.
But now I'm Minister Daryl, so I know how to divide my life up. But ladies, I want to welcome you guys to the podcast. You know, this is a sports podcast, but I want to ask you guys a question. I know Silver, don't show I roll in your eyes. I want to ask you guys a question, and
I'm not.
I'm going to answer it first. What woman in history do you look up to the most? Me, I have two. I have Shirley Chisholm and Mary McLeod Bethune. I look up to those two women, not counting my mama. I'll talk about her later, but Shirley Chisholm just sticks in my mind. There's something about Shirley Chisholm and Mary McLeod Bethune. Michelle?
Wow. Well, first of all, there are a lot of women, but I'll say, first of all, my mother. People tell me I'm a clone of my mother. And sometimes when I think about how strict my mother was when we were growing up, I'm thinking, oh, dear God, no. But, you know, and Daryl, you know of me, I have a reputation. I don't do foolishness. I'm about that business.
That's right.
I'm a taskmaster. If we got something to do, let's lay out the plan, let's get it done, and let's move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. The other thing I'm going of later years, I'm going to say Michelle Obama.
Definitely.
There's something about her that just really resonated with me. To be in the White House as a Black woman, first of all, and to dare to do things differently, she didn't sell her soul to the devil. If she was different, she is different. She's the first Black first lady, and that's okay. She still did it her way, and that took boldness.
Absolutely.
And just being true to yourself. And I'm always a person that one thing Michelle is going to do is I'm going to be true to myself. You may not like the decisions I make. You may not like the way I do it. May not like what I wear my hair, my dress, but whatever. But if it's what Michelle wants to do, that shall be done.
So,
Nat, that's a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always told when you start admiring people, you start at home. So I'm going to say first, my mother and my grandmother, because my mother molded me into the person that I am. And my grandmother did the same thing. So now I'm going to say, and I hate to copy what you said, but I have to say Mary McLeod Bethune, because she started our institution with 5 little girls, $1.50, and faith in God. And I just don't think there's anything better than that.
I want to talk about my mom, because if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be doing this podcast, because growing up, I had a speech impediment.
Wow.
Really bad.
I would never know that.
So what she made me do was sit down in front of a TV and watch but baseball and emulate the commentators.
Wow.
That's how I learned how to broadcast. That's how I learned how to do this. Because I told you earlier in the week, I have a unique journalism skill. I went to Bethune-Cookman as a phys ed major, but because of Horatio, let me slide in with the mass communication people. I now have a radio show. I now have a podcast. I now have an open mic from the #1 centile, because I had that voice, but I couldn't always speak. My aunt, Frankie Jackson, you probably remember Miss Jackson, Ann Smith, Ann Smith. Those people, they helped me with my speech growing up.
Wow.
So there are some women who've made some really, really, really dynamic marks on us in history. Now, let's flip the script. You both are accomplished authors. You've penned some stuff that'll be on earth forever. So you guys have laid some history. Sybil, you penned 2 books, right?
2 books, and a 3rd is on the way.
What I was gonna ask you to ghostwrite mine, and now you already doing something. Okay, tell us about your 2.
So the books they were designed to educate, motivate, and inspire. The first book is called Smile, Save, and Succeed, A Plan for Success with Money. That's the one that's designed to educate, just to kind of put some information out there. My target audience was really a younger group. The second book is Smile, Save, and Succeed Even More, Life Lessons About Money. And that's the one that's designed to motivate. It is filled with real stories that will hopefully help people who are working on accomplishing their goals and working on becoming financially literate and working on living life well. The third book is designed to inspire, and that's the one that I'm working on now. It is in, it's being edited. So that one will be Smile, Save, and Succeed with Money Affirmations.
Wow. All right, Michelle, you just recently penned a great project. I got to get a copy of it. Tell us about
it. It's The Making of Vince Carter. It's the title, A Basketball Mom's Memoir. Over the years, people watched Vince's career, and after so many people came to me and start, making certain comments, I started thinking, I said, these people think that I had a magic wand and waved it over his head, and voila, he becomes the oldest or most seasoned or tenured player in the NBA, holding that record. Little boy from Daytona Beach, go figure. But it wasn't that at all. And parents would come ask me for advice. I said, look, first of all, understand it is not a one size fits all. And number 2, you have to be careful where you get your advice from. And I use this with, I said, if you had a bad wisdom tooth, you don't want your CPA to pull your tooth.
No.
But if you have some financial issues, you don't want your plumber to advise you on your financial issues.
Absolutely.
Keep that same perspective when you're going out seeking information about colleges or recruiting, or should your daughter or son forego their senior year or their junior year in college and go into the professional ranks. So after about 8 years of people telling me you should write a book, you should write a book, and I always said I will, but it was always too busy to do that. And then COVID hit. And I was about to lose my mind because I had to be still. I'm not very good at being still. And so I said, well, this is as good a time as any. I need to stay in the house as much as I can. So I started writing the book. Surprisingly enough to me, because I'm telling my story. This is my story. It took me 2.5 years and many days of writer's block where there was just nothing. I knew what I wanted to convey, just didn't know how to put pen to paper to say it in an entertaining way. Because after all, I'm telling my truth. I'm telling you what we did, and hoping that it will help parents, hoping that it will help athletes to not make really bad decisions. Now, it's not a perfect world, so nothing is going to go 100% right. Nothing. There are going to be some bumps in the road, but you need, if you know how to fix the bumps, how to navigate and say, okay, this is going to be okay. This is what I hope, other than being a good read, but I hope it to be a resource for parents and their athletes. Because I when I was coming up, there were 77 schools that recruited Vince. I had nothing. I had to just
77?
77.
Wow.
I of course, being a business major, I have all of the letters, because back then it was pen to paper.
Right.
Put a stamp on it and put it in the mail. I have all of the letters in alpha order by universities. And so I had to go back to those, and it was good for me to go back and read some of those letters when I couldn't remember a date of something or something like that. But you have to come up with a plan. And then you work the plan. I actually made a chart. I still have a chart on a legal size notepad. I listed the schools, and we did the pros and cons, check different categories down the left-hand side. Because somehow we had to get from 77 to 1. You can only go to one university at a time.
Wow.
So that's how we did it. And it got down to, it's 77. So, it had to be very minute, very detailed. We even looked at coaches' wives.
Whoa.
In this respect, basketball players don't get to come home Thanksgiving and Christmas because you're engaged. You're playing. So my son is a freshman. What do you all do with these guys and girls? They're still at the university. Everybody's gone home for their break. What do you all do to make them feel at home, to make them feel comfortable? Like, I'm not missing out on Thanksgiving. Sure, it's not going to be the traditional one that you're used to having at home. But what are you doing? Anything? Or are they sitting in their dorm rooms, lonely, depressed, because they wish they were home, doing the customary thing, being home with family at Thanksgiving and at Christmas? So I had to even look at that, because as I said, somehow we had to get from 77 to 1.
Okay. Sybil, what we're going to do, we're going to pull you in this sports thing, because recently you've been diving into sports. You text me the other day about, hey, what about the 24 hours of Daytona? I said, you need to go to the 500. You want to stay out there all day? And recently, I think you got a little bit of Orlando Magic fever too, because you recently went to Orlando Magic, had an HBCU night, and you were there.
Yes. Well, let me tell you, Nat, I have been a basketball fan for decades. And so it is just wonderful sitting here with Dr. Michelle Carter, because I followed the career of Vince Carter.
Okay, you good to go then. Go
Right.
straight.
So, I lived in Atlanta for 20 years, and those 20 years, I was a season ticket holder for the Atlanta Hawks. So, yeah,
Okay.
now I'm kind of hanging out at some Orlando Magic events, and I love basketball, and I love professional basketball.
You
Okay.
know, Sybil, one thing in your profession, and this is something, because this part of the whole college basketball thing and the NILs and stuff like that, there's a piece of that that really is bothering me. I wonder, are the institutions educating these athletes when they get these NIL deals and the money about the tax structure? That's revenue. When you're coming from, and some of these young people come from very humble beginnings, there was not enough money to talk about taxes and revenue and this, because parents are we living from paycheck to paycheck. Now some of these kids are making in excess of $1 million and they're college students. But is there financial literacy educating going on? So that's people in your profession. I hope that, and if you have an interest, you're watching, and even maybe to even volunteer your services to say, look, let me come in and do a PowerPoint presentation or a seminar or a talk, just to make sure these kids are going to be okay. Because not only don't they not know, their parents don't know.
Correct.
So where do they turn? We're talking about financial literacy. To that plumber? What should I, I got this money, what should I do?
Yeah, that is a great comment. And Shaquille O'Neal has an incredible story. And it's about when he signed his deal. His first deal was an endorsement deal for $1 million, and he went nuts. He went out and he spent 500,000 of it on. He bought like 3 Mercedes-Benz vehicles,
Yes.
and then he bought. And he wrote about this, and it's a wonderful story.
Yes.
Because he talks about financial literacy all the time. And so he spent the $500,000, and then he spent about $300,000 more dollars. So that was $800,000. Then he spent some more, and then he got a call from his bank telling him that he had spent more money than he had. He forgot all about taxes. He forgot, and at that point, it was about 40%. So technically, he only had about $600,000 that he could spend, and he was in the hole.
Right.
So he got wise very quickly. He hired a financial advisor, and he is still working with the same person based on what I've read and based on listening to some of his speeches. He's still working with the same financial advisor today, and he advises everybody to become financially literate, to put emphasis on understanding personal financial management.
Yes, very important.
Okay. I'm taking it all in. But see, here's the thing with me. Michelle, Vince played over 20 years?
22 years.
20 years ago, what was it like for guys coming in the league with the endorsements? Now you have guys coming in now with, set scales of salary. You can come in under a rookie this, your scale is this, your scale is that. But my thing is this, the literacy is the most important part. Bethune-Cookman University, Grambling, and Florida A&M, and Jackson State. There are 4 schools in the SWIPE that have very replicable NIL deals for their players. But I don't really know the literacy that these guys are really getting. Okay, I'm gonna do some research on it because I'll be doing some stuff with some players soon, and they will be getting paid through my podcast to do some things. So let's kind of get out of sports a little while, and we'll come back to it. Michelle, if there's one legacy that you would like to leave, you got a granddaughter, Kyra, running track. She's a super athlete. Cheerleader. I watch her. She's getting big too. Wow. What would you leave your grandkids so they can say, "My grandma left me this. This is her history"?
Well, that's an easy one for me. I'm a helper. I always feel that I can leave things better than the way I found it. And if you got a problem and you come to me, not to that I can solve all problems, but I'm just, maybe brazen enough, maybe arrogant enough to think I can at least make it better, or advise you where you can go to get help to make it better. So I'm hoping that I have instilled that into my grandchildren, that where you can help, you do help.
Sybil, same question. What would you leave? You got nephews and nieces and stuff. What would you leave them?
I do. I want to be the person who motivates them. I want to be the person who plants a seed. And I am the person, they will tell you that I say to them, money will not make you happy, but not understanding how to manage your money will put you in some situations that will make you very unhappy. So I want that. I want to be the person who encourages them to have this balanced life. I have what I like to call the good life equation, and there are 5 components. And number 1 is being healthy. Being active, eating a balanced diet, but also enjoying dessert on a regular basis. The next component is being happy, finding some joy and some pleasure and having purpose in your life and being intentional. The third component is building beneficial relationships with your friends and your associates and your family, and also finding what fuels you spiritually. Number 4 is being financially literate, understanding saving, investing, and debt. Number 5 is being financially fit, putting yourself in a position to have the resources to meet your obligations and then to have some money left over. We don't want to spend everything we have. I mean, go ahead, Nat.
No. You go. You finish. You go ahead.
In 2024, it is estimated that African Americans will have spending power of $1.8 trillion. Yet we lag behind when it comes to increasing our net worth, building wealth, or leaving legacies. A couple years ago, the net worth of the average Black household was around $44,000. The average net worth of the white families was over $280,000. So while we have this tremendous spending power, we just need to refocus and to also think that we can still live a good life. We just need to be balanced, and we need to learn from the younger folks. We need to learn to sacrifice, to work now for what we want later.
See, that's good stuff.
Sacrificing means giving up something now in order to have something later that's more important than what you're giving up now. And so it takes focus, it takes mindset, it takes being deliberate, it takes being intentional.
See, that's good stuff. See, this is a locker room podcast, but you talking about the Smile Save and Seed podcast now on Apple. On Apple, you ordered to your tell us about your part. This same stuff I listened to you this morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I have a podcast, and it's under my name, and it's the Smile, Save, and Succeed podcast. And it's on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast. So yeah, people are listening. I'm getting comments. So I just hope that I'm getting through. I just want to plant a seed. It's all about mindset. Maya Angelou made a statement, when you know better, you do better. And there's a story that I like to share with people. I have a friend who loves to celebrate her birthday. And so every year she would have these incredible birthday parties. We would look forward to them. She would have live music, lots of food. She would have a theme. And the biggest one was when she turned 40. We had a wonderful time. Well, when she turned 41, I hadn't heard anything from her about a birthday party. So I contacted her, and she said, "Girl, let me tell you something." She said, "I am still paying for birthday parties that go back to when I turned 30. So 11 years later, she says, I'm still trying to pay off this debt." And so that's the kind of thing. What I mean, she realized what she had done. And as Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better.
Michelle, you're a giver. And I recently saw something where, I don't know if I'm quoting it right, a music room, a music company that you helped start with some kids.
The institutional institution for music business in Tallahassee. You know, in my years of teaching business, um, I was listening to Coach K say something. I don't know if you saw the interview with Coach K and Roy Williams. I've watched it 3 times. It's just hilarious, probably because I know them personally in the programs and things like that. But Coach K said something about basketball players, and he equated coaches to teachers, which I've always said, a coach is a teacher.
Absolutely.
But in that classroom, in that arena, football coach, basketball coach, soccer coach, whatever it is, those students want to be there. They've done what it takes to make the team. So obviously they want to be there. They've made the sacrifices to be there. When I taught business, my business classes were elective classes. So the students who were in my class wanted to be in the business class. Most of them, the parents made them, and they were going to college. And there's a myriad of classes under the business umbrella, you know, keyboarding and things like that, accounting and bookkeeping and things. So when I had these students, they wanted to be there, so they gave me all they had. On the teams, you want to be on that team, you want to make that team, so you give them all they had. But there were these other students who, they were just not students. They weren't about this education thing, but they were so talented in other areas. And one of them, I noticed more often than not, was music. So when this opportunity came about, I did some research and I jumped on it and invested in that school. And but to my surprise, I'm seeing that it's not just a 19, 18 to 25-year-olds. It's the 35, 40, 45-year-olds who always wanted to do this and always wanted to learn more in this. And now they are pretty comfortable in their everyday job, the job that pays the bills. And now they're going back in the certificate programs to learn more about the music business. They want to be writers, or they want to have their own label, learning how you can be a producer. So they're going back doing that, and it's really refreshing and unique to see that happening.
So you were in Atlanta, now you're back in Jacksonville, William R. Raines High School.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the stuff you're doing in the JVille.
Well, again, you know, I'm pushing this financial literacy campaign, talking to everybody that I can about financial literacy. Again, it's so important. It's so important for our young people because, and I tell people in my message, money management is a focus of the books and the podcast, but it is not the focus. The focus is having a well-rounded life, but it's difficult to have a well-rounded life without that financial literacy component because it's just so important. I mean, people who are financially literate are in a position to make better decisions about things that will impact their future. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of getting the message out.
Okay. Michelle, you were around the NBA 25, 26 years, even after Vince got through playing. You still have a relationship with players, moms, and
still to this
what is
day.
that like? What, you know, I'm gonna tell you something. I never saw Vince play live until I was in Memphis. No, I went to Memphis and I went to lunch with Tubby Smith, and I hollered at you from the upper deck. I was like, hey,
I remember that.
Remember that? They were playing the Knicks that night. I never saw Vince play live until then. What's the relationship like that you forged in the NBA?
You know, I'm a hands-on mom person anyway, so I've gone to a lot of games. There's one season out of the 82 or something games, I calculated I went to 54 of them.
Wow.
So I've met a lot of players. I have a good relationship with several players still to this day. Some younger, because Vince had this reputation idea that if he could get the younger players, as younger players come in, he would embrace them. He would have them to sit next to him on the plane and just talk. He's called me about issues that some, their first year in the league, second year in the league, and they're having all kinds of issues across the board. Some of them financial, they're on the veteran minimum, or they're still in the rookie salary schedule, which is that 4 years. And then, the ownership will tear that up. And then from 5 years up, that's when you're in the really big money. And the money is crazy money these days. But this kid who is on rookie schedule, contract not guaranteed, every time they're on the road, Vince would notice he's coming back from Louis Vuitton with a bag, coming back from Gucci with a bag. And he would pull the young fella aside and say, look, man, you can't keep doing this. What if they don't resign you next year? Now what are you going to do? Or the young man who's having girlfriend issues, they've got a baby. I remember, this is a true story. I won't call any names, but true story. And the mama wanted the baby in the Gucci little Walker shoes and this.
Oh my God.
And and the young man didn't want to do it. He realized this is not sustainable. I'm going to be broke. Okay, so they have their issues and upset. So Vince is talking to him. So Vince calls me and he's telling me this story. Mama, where can he go and get some good shoes? I said, you wore those Buster Browns from JCPenney and they did just fine. You not only walk well, you run and jump pretty good too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but it's just a matter of it's educating. But now the students got to be willing to listen. These young people are getting good information. They got to be willing to listen. And that's the biggest part of the problem that I see. There's also who you hang around with. Try to tell them to keep your circle small. Back when Vince was in the league, social media wasn't as big of a boogaboo as it is now.
Not everybody got a camera.
Oh my God.
It's a two-edged sword now. They didn't have that issue back then. And so he tries to tell these guys, look, I'm not telling you don't be on social media, but I am telling you that you don't have to post every time you go to the bathroom. You don't have to do that. And be careful what you do post, because it could be 10 years from now, 20 years from now to come back and haunt you, because you're not going to be in this position to play this game for the rest of your life. This is a short-lived career.
All right, I'm going to give you a quote. I want you, I know you can answer it real quick, but listen to these words. Half man, half amazing. Half man, that's you right there. Half amazing. That's you too. What do you think about that? What do you think about that, Michelle? You never thought about it like that.
To be honest with you, when I first heard that, I didn't know how to take that. You're half a man? No, you're all a man. But I get it. We're in a society of nicknames. You're gonna get a nickname. But Vince takes on the proudest, the thing that I'm most proud of Vince, he takes all of that adoration and all of that, he takes it all in stride. He doesn't get too high, too low. He doesn't get too full of all of that. Because one thing I used to do, he's playing with, it was as much attention when he was at UNC playing basketball. I mean, you're at UNC playing basketball and Dean Smith is your coach. It doesn't get any bigger than that. But when he would come home on breaks, I made sure on garbage day, he was going to take the garbage out to the curb. I made sure of that. He was just going to be, Vince Carter's not a celebrity in my house, ever. That won't ever happen. He's just my son. And I think that helps. All parents need to do that. That helps keep kids grounded and not let them get too, as old people say, get too full of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and there again, Vince is willing to listen.
Okay, Sybil, you went to, like I said before, the Orlando Magic had HBCU night.
Yes, I did.
What was that all about? What did you see?
There was a lot of unity. They call it Magic on the Yard. I didn't really know, what it was all about. So I looked it up and get down there, and it was all about unity. They showed a lot of clips and they talked about a lot of Black history. They talked about the colleges, the HBCUs. They had each of the sororities and fraternities represented. They actually did a step show at halftime, talked about contributions that were made. They actually had some of the sportscasters who were HBCU products come on and talk about how grateful they were for the time that they spent at HBCUs and how it benefited them. It was great. There was a lot of unity, a lot of people who were just really proud. We were proud HBCU products.
You talking about sororities. I used to throw the rocks at the window in J Flow to a Delta. And then throw the rock at Megs to an AKA. So you the AKA, you the Delta. Hey.
You were equal opportunity.
I was equal opportunity. Matter of fact,
you didn't discriminate.
Next week, I got 4 Deltas that's going to be on. And then the following week, I got 4 AKAs. So we're gonna finish the month out very, very well.
It's okay. It's okay because you know what? We're working toward the same goals.
Yes.
What is that? I mean, a lot of people say, "Well, I'm in a sorority. I'm in a fraternity." What exactly do they do? What would y'all do?
In my
It's
household,
service.
most of the women. I have one cousin that's an AKA. Everybody else is a Delta. People always ask me, Michelle, how did that happen? So I think, there are these things in people, and I believe that they're innate. They're there when you don't even know they're there. And then they manifest themselves as you get older or get into your careers or your whatever. I know now exactly the problem. But when I was younger, I've always been a person that's not afraid to blaze my own path. Like I said, it is very important to me. Michelle is going to be true to herself, period. And that was, I didn't know how to explain that when I was 18, 19 years old. But now I see, as I look back, that was all part of it. I didn't become a Delta just because my sister is a Delta, my mom is a Delta, my grandma is a Delta. I was on the campus at Bethune-Cookman. I saw the AKAs. They were more appealing to me. That's the way I went. My sister was on the campus. We pledged the same time. So I'm on one sidewalk, going from the dining hall to yard, passing by Meg's Hall, AKA line. She on the other sidewalk over on Whitehall side, on the Delta line.
Your sister was a cheerleader, right?
What a story.
My sister was captain of cheerleaders for
20 years. I had a crush on that little black girl right there.
So a lot of guys did.
She was shining too, but I could love me
some. She did some crazy jumps and things. I used to sit at the football game in the stand, look at her. I said, "This girl's gonna kill herself. She's going to kill herself." But she loved it.
Oh my goodness.
She loved it.
Yeah. Okay, let's play a game called Creativity. All right. What we're gonna do, Michelle? You have now had an expansion NBA team. They're gonna play in Nassau, Bahamas. I'm going to allow you to create your own staff. All right, your front
Oh,
office,
wow.
you know, and all that. I'm gonna give you a minute to think about it. But tell me, what's the number one thing you've seen? Mark Cuban, because he played with the Mavericks. You've seen Toronto, the New Jersey Nets, the Minnesota. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies. The boy got jerseys everywhere. What pieces would you take from the NBA? How would you? I tell you what. How would you build a team? Let's make it simple.
You know, of course, when I look at the NBA franchises, most of the men at the administration, or the presidents, and they're all males. I would, first of all, with my team, I have to have me a female that knows what she's doing, not just because
Sybil, you got Sybil.
That knows what she's doing. But has that nurturing spirit.
Sybil.
Because these kids now, I'm gonna tell you, this transfer portal.
Oh yeah.
Stuff,
Oh yeah.
That's a whole nother story. And this NIL too. But they're kids when they come into the league. The league minimum in the NBA is just over $1 million. These kids come from very humble beginnings. They go to 1 year college, and that 1 year college is not a year college. It ends up being a semester because you have to make yourself eligible, like right along and now, for the draft that's coming up in June. So when they do that, they don't go to college, just classes that second semester. So They got 1 semester under their belt. Now you thrust into the NBA and you're making more money you've ever seen in your life, which today is not really a whole lot of money, but it's a whole lot of money to you. You have no education to go along with that money. You have no expertise. You're out here asking, in a lot of cases, the wrong people opinions about things. Somebody has to do better with this. And there would be a vehicle in place. When you come to my team, you left school with 1 year under your belt. I'm going to make it easy, and I'm going to keep bugging you like I'm your mama for you to go back and get your degree.
There you go.
Okay. Now, the basketball part, I'm going to hire my good coaches. The basketball part is going to take care of itself. I'm talking about these young men that if they get cut in the league with really a semester of college education under their belt, what are you going to do? You probably spent most of that money. You have no education. What are you going to do? You can't go back and get your eligibility in college. That's done when you became a pro. Now, a lot of the universities, I know at University of North Carolina, they have chairs set up. So once you get into the NBA, it used to be 10 years. When you go back and actually get that degree, it's a plus. It's a positive for that university. Not only just for you getting your degree, but it's a positive for the university. So the old coaches, I don't know what the coaches are doing now, but the old coaches like Dean Smith and those guys back there, they would keep on these guys. Come back and get your degree. Come back and get your degree. There's money here. We can pay for it. So that's how I would set up my team.
So what type of people do you bump into that have money that need advice? You know, is it athletes, is it musicians, or real estate folk, or what type of people you usually bump into?
I have a dear friend who said something to me. I'm bumping into people who are, professionals, bankers, lawyers. I had one person say there's a podcast episode. It's called Things, and it talks about me going to the home of my roommate from college, who's an AKA. We were roommates for 4 years, and I was at her house not long ago, and she has something. Antoinette Bryant Jenkins.
Oh, okay.
So she has something on her wall, and it says, "The most important things in life are not things." And so I did a podcast episode on that. It talked about how we just need to realize that. We need to realize that the most important things in life are not things. And particularly if you're in a position where you need to start doing some things for your financial future. So one of my dear friends who has really planned for his financial future, he has a lot of things, and he called me up and he said, Sybil, I listened to your podcast. I thought it was great. I thought it was on point. I thought you were articulate. You made great points. But according to what you said, I'm an economic disaster. And I said, well, why are you saying that? Because you have so many things. And so this person has income, assets, and net worth that's probably greater than those of the top 10% of earners in this country. And he's made provisions for his future. He's made provisions to be taken care of if he was in a position where he could not do the activities of daily living for himself. So, to him, I said, okay, you've made provisions for when you're no longer working. You have no debt. You have, as I said, net worth that is exceeding the net worth of top earners in this country. So for those folks, I say, do whatever you want, because you've kind of covered all the bases. There are a number of, they call it money personalities, and he's this personality who's covered all the bases, but that's such a small segment of the population. So for everybody else, when I talk to people, I said, you know what, we gotta focus on the basics, because there can be no wealth building without understanding the basics. There can be no saving without understanding the basics. There can be no investing without understanding the basics. There can be no long-term effective money management without understanding the basics. So what are the basics? The basics are spend less than you earn. The basics are, plan for emergencies. You should have an emergency fund. You should think about what will happen when you get to the point where you are no longer working or no longer able to work. Will you be able to provide for yourself? So, those are the kind of things. And those are sometimes very tough conversations, but they are conversations that are needed. And again, I tell people all the time, the key is balance. I mean, you can live a good life now and also plan for your future. But it just takes understanding that you have to sacrifice, you have to plan.
Okay. I'm involved in so many things. Like, I looked at my schedule today. I know what I'm going to be doing every day until the Florida Classic.
Oh my God. Yeah, you are involved in so many things.
And
you are incredibly busy.
Tomorrow, I was supposed to have had a banquet. I think I invited you, Michelle, the NAAA, the National Alliance of African American Athletes of Orlando chapter. I'm the vice president, and we were hosting an awards banquet called the Watkins Award. The Watkins Award is equivalent to a high school Heisman for Blacks. But what happened was, the ideas that we had to do our banquet, the national banquet absorbed them. So we had our banquet the first week of March. But I got some things coming down the path. Dr. Michelle, I'm going to be calling on you. But I know you have a busy schedule. Even you can connect me to some people. And Sybil, I also have some avenues and some platforms for you. But I love both of you guys. I'm telling you, I look up to you guys. That's why you were on first. I was trying to mesh my shows, and God like, nope, put this person over there. I do everything by God. Because Sybil, you were texting me like, I don't know what the question you're going to ask. I say, hey, it's already in you. I'm going to pull it out of you. So I love the conversation. I like you guys for what you've given me tonight. But I got to go over the open mic. This is the Locker Room Podcast. I'm Darren Nattil for Michelle Carter, Sybil Grissett. Good night.
Good night. Thank you,
Good night,
Nat.
and thank you.
Good night.
Good night.